my name is Rebecca Haley, and I am a birth and postpartum doula with Palouse Women's Wellness, and I am here today to talk to you about how you can support your loved one during their labor and birth. For today's episode, we're going to be talking about writing things down during your loved one's labor and birth. Now, you may be asking yourself, wait, what? As a support person, I'm supposed to be writing things down? Why? Well, one, it provides you and the birthing person with a keepsake that you can treasure after the labor and birth. Secondly, it also provides you with information to facilitate discussion and ask questions with medical providers. Now, what should you be writing down? Well, some things to be writing down include the names of all care providers with whom you come in contact. So that includes midwives, midwives' assistants, nurses, and when they came on and off shift, CNAs, and when they came on and off shift, any doctors, any specialists. So that includes people like anesthetists. So any of those people, any care providers who you come in contact with during the labor and birth, you want to write their names down and roughly when you interacted with them. This provides you with, again, just those reference points to facilitate discussion if questions come up later, or if you want to leave them a positive review after the labor and birth, I'm sure they would love that. Other information that's helpful to have includes the time that you left home and arrived at your birthing destination, whether that's the hospital or the out-of-hospital birthing center, or the time that the midwife came to attend you in your home. You would also want to record things like medical procedures. Say medication is administered, for example, antibiotics, and you want to write down the time that those doses were administered, or Pitocin, the time and dosage administered, and if those dosages are changed throughout the labor and birth. Now, of course, nurses and midwives' assistants are going to be charting during the duration of your labor and birth. And when you're writing just a few things down, then you have access to information without requesting those records. Of course, the birthing person always has the right to request their own medical records from any care provider. Another thing to write down would be observe changes in the birthing person. So this would include physical things like vomiting or bowel movements, or if their water breaks, and if their water breaks, the color and smell of the amniotic fluid. Those things are really important. I know it can seem a little up close and personal, but these are really great data points. For instance, if someone vomits several times in a short span of time, that could mean that they're very far along in their labor, or it could mean that they're just really getting dehydrated because they can't keep any liquids down. And so in that case, that may necessitate, IV fluids or something, but it all just gives you information to discuss with your care provider. Also, like I said, changes in how the birthing person appears to be perceiving their labor process. This would be changes in how they're moving and how they're sounding. They were making kind of light, moaning sounds, and now the sounds are getting deeper and louder. You could also write down, of course, things that they tell you. Oh, I'm feeling a lot more pressure than I was. Other things might include changes in mood. So maybe they were really engaged with the people around them and chatty, and now they're more interior and quiet as labor progresses. One last thing to think about charting or to think about writing down as a support person would be position changes. Ideally, during active labor, a birthing person is changing positions about every 30 minutes, and it can be really easy to lose track of time. And that's not a hard and fast rule, but just kind of more of a general guideline. So if you can write down, okay, they were in this position starting at this time, then you have a reference point to maybe suggest a position change down the road. Now, this may sound like a lot to write down, and I completely understand. If you are the only support person for a birthing person, you probably won't be able to write all of this down. And something is better than nothing. I personally would prioritize the names of various care providers and medical procedures, as well as just significant changes in the birthing person's experience. That said, if you're, say, a secondary support person, this could be a really great job for you, is to write down all of these different data points. Well, that's all I have for today. Join me next week for my next episode of Supporting Your Loved One During Labor. Bye.